Hey guys, welcome back. Today is Thursday, December 10th, and it's only 8 days until Star Wars Episode 7 Awakens. The hype machine is in full swing. The stars are going all over the world for press releases and interviews and the whole gamut of things, everywhere from Australia to somewhere in the east. I don't remember the country. Sorry. But they even went and released a new international trailer specifically for China. I have not watched it, and I'm not going to because I'm on TV spot and trailer burnout. I don't want to see anything else until the movie. It's only 8 days, so I can deal with it. Anyway, continuing my series of doing marathons. Tonight I'm going to start the first season of the Clone Wars animated series. And I'm going to continue over the next 4 nights because there's 4 discs. There's about 5 episodes per disc, and so that'd be interesting. Probably ought to take about 2.5 to 3 hours per night, and I figure if I start now, then I can get a jump on it, and then at the very end I will be reviewing the series. Season 1's all I have, but I don't mind the fact that I don't have any more seasons because there's only scattered episodes that I like enough to keep. That being said, let's get this show on the road. Okay guys, so I just finished the day 1 of my Clone Wars marathon, and this disc had about 5 episodes, and I'm going to review them one by one, a very, very short review, talk about how the episode is, what the episode is about and how I liked it. Episode 1 is called Ambush. It's where Master Yoda and a group of clone troopers travel to one of the moons of Toydaria to try and convince them to join the Republic because there's several worlds that are on the fence. Some want to join the Separatists, some still haven't joined the Republic, and they tried to convince them to meet up with the Separatists. In the end, thanks to Master Yoda's skills against the inept battle droids and Count Dooku's apprentice Asajj Ventress, Toydaria ended up joining the Republic, or at least agreeing to host a Republic base on the moon. And this episode is interesting because it showed Yoda in one of his mentor roles, and in this instance he played mentor to the clones. The clones themselves honestly don't have that much personality for me, not much individualism, even though they try to do that. Their individualism comes out a little bit better in the later seasons, I think. But Yoda, he's got his laughter and his mischievous bits back, and that's nice to see because he was so serious in 1, 2, and 3. But it was a good episode. The story's pretty good. I would give it about 7 out of 10. New characters, honestly, I wasn't impressed at all. With the new characters, I like the old characters better, so I would give them a 5 out of 10. Not terrible, but not impressive at all. Character development, there wasn't that much going on. I would also give that a 5 out of 10. Overall, the grade for Ambush is 5.6 out of 10. It's fun, but there's really not much substance to it. Next in Season 1 of the Clone Wars is the Malevolence story arc, which takes place over 3 episodes. Rising Malevolence, Shadow of Malevolence, and Destroy Malevolence. The Malevolence is a brand new, gigantic ship that the Separatists have been using that leave no survivors. It's got a couple of huge ion cannons that put out ion blasts that disable the power of ships, and then they go in and pick them off. In Rising Malevolence, we see Jedi Master Plo Koon for the first time, and that episode is mostly about keeping hope alive and not giving up. Because Anakin's Padawan Ahsoka has known Plo Koon since she was little bitty, and so she's very close to him, and she does not want to give up on him even though the orders of the Jedi Council say otherwise. And it's got some good banter between Anakin and Ahsoka, and a little bit of character development. Mostly the introduction of a new character, Plo Koon. We haven't really heard him speak. All we've seen is him, flying in a fighter in Episode 3 and sitting in the council chambers going like this. He's a Keldor, I think that's his species. But he's got this very low, resonant voice. But he's a pretty cool character. So, for the episode Rising Malevolence, I would give the story, again, a 7 out of 10. New characters, I would also give a 7 out of 10. Character development wasn't much. I would give it a 6 out of 10. So the final grade for the episode Rising Malevolence would be 6.66. Oh dear. Maybe I should change that grade. The next episode in the Malevolence story arc is, of course, Shadow of Malevolence. It's where Anakin leads a bunch of clone pilots on an attack against the Malevolence. They encounter some giant, mantas in a nebula, and Anakin's pride ends up losing him several of his pilots. So the story for that one is, again, a 7 out of 10. New characters, there weren't that many except for some clones, which isn't... I don't know, I just don't like the clones, so I give the new characters a 6 out of 10. Character development, there's a little bit for Anakin, so I give that a 7 out of 10. And the score for that episode is exactly the same as Rising Malevolence, which is 6.66. Now, my favorite episode in that particular story arc is the next one, Destroy Malevolence, because Padme shows up, and we get to see a little bit of interaction between Padme and Anakin. And I honestly think the chemistry between these two animated characters is so much better than in both episodes 2 and 3. With this one, they actually seem like a married couple that's been married for at least a couple of years. They know each other pretty well. They still get into little scrapes once in a while, but it's so nice to see them together in this capacity. Of course, they can't show that much affection with each other, but that was one of the things that made it one of my absolute favorite episodes of Season 1. Definitely my total favorite episode of the first disc of Season 1. Okay, so for Destroy Malevolence, I would give the story an 8 out of 10. There's no new characters, so that gets a 5 out of 10. Character development, there is a little bit. I mean, you see Anakin's attachment to Padme, but, there's nothing really different about that, but I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Mostly because I really like this episode. So the final score for this episode ends up being exactly the same, 6.66. The last episode on Disc 1 of the Season 1 of Clone Wars is something called Rookies. That one was not my favorite. I'm not a big fan of the clones. To me, unless it's either Rex or Cody, they all just seem too cookie cutter. I mean, I know they're clones, and I know they tried to give them their own personalities, but I really don't feel like they succeeded. They just feel like the same guy over and over and over and over again, and it gets a little bit monotonous after a while. I mean, I know this is called the Clone Wars, but I wish there was less clones and more characters like Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme. That's just me. So that being said, the grading for Rookies is a 6 out of 10 for the story. I know it was supposed to show some character development, but honestly, I was bored by it. New characters also gets a 6 out of 10. And character development also gets a 6 out of 10. So the final score for Rookies ends up being overall a 6 out of 10. Like I said, I'm really not that impressed with the clones themselves. This episode was not one of my favorites at all. Honestly, it was kind of boring. The sacrifice that the one clone nicknamed Heavy made at the end was good, and I liked the very last lines in there. Well, not the very last line. I like his last line. He basically gets shot up and limps to try and detonate something that'll blow up the base, and so the Separatists won't establish a stronghold on the Republic base. He ends up getting wounded. He pulls a Boromir, basically. He gives his life to save the others. And he's cornered by droids, and the droid says,
Do we take prisoners?
And he just says, I don't. Blows the thing up. That's a pretty good moment there. I'll give it that. But I still say that my overall grade of that episode is a 6 out of 10. Well, there it is, guys. I tried to hurry it up as much as I could, but that is my scores of the episodes of Clone Wars so far. I may have to write them down so I don't forget, and I will average them out to give the, at least season 1, an averaged grade. I will come back tomorrow with my reviews and scores of the episodes in Disc 2. But until then, this is the Clumsy Jedi signing off, and looking forward to episode 7. Only 8 days.
So let's go to the movie. Fun, cause it's almost the time.
Join the dark side.
May the Force be with you.